Do you feel free? Do you feel light? There's no heaviness, is there? And yet, so why in life do we always seem to be dealing with fear? So what is fear, Patty? It's a state of mind on who we are and what we believe the power is within us. That's all it is. Fear is a misplaced faith. It's a faith in something that we don't want to happen, but we believe it will. Apparently, yesterday, there was a football game. And in that football game, it was Florida State, and they were playing Miami. And in that football game, Miami was kicking and taking names and was just tearing it up. And in the first half, they looked unstoppable. They were taking an undefeated team in this country, and they were shellacking them. And then what happened in the second half was real interesting. They changed their whole team around, and they were no longer the aggressive team. They were playing a conservative game. They went on the defensive. Why would you go on the defensive? Because you fear that you might get beat, so you're going to go on the defensive? Think about, okay, so in the idea that the law is out there, this infinite power, this infinite creative intelligence is there, it's taking the sum total of what we believe, it creates in our lives. It doesn't care what we believe, it takes what we believe and creates it. So there's the whole Miami team, right? They're taking out into the second half a consciousness that we're going to preserve our victory by toning down our offensive calling, focusing on defense, and what have we put out into the universe? We're going to lose. And what happened? They lost. What's the consciousness of Florida State? They're behind all the friggin' time. And they keep coming back and winning because they stay centered in a belief and a faith that they're going to win. They're not in fear when they get behind. You see, there's really two types of fear. There's a fear that if we lose our lives, all of a sudden there is a poisonous snake, and it's you and the snake. There's a fear that comes over you that says, I want to preserve my life. That's natural. But the fear of a boogeyman under your bed is a state of mind based on what you think you are and what you believe. Think about all the fears that we have that hold us back. A lot of people have stage fright. I do. Can you tell? I'm blessed. That's not a fear of mine. My fear is that I don't have anyone to talk to. So, in light of that, how do I deal with that? Let's play with that. I have to decide who I am. Well, I'm the individualization of God, and as the individualization of God, I have determined that I will be a master teacher of universal truth and conscious living. That's what I've dedicated my life to, teaching universal truths and how to do it. Not just teaching the truth, because, if you learn the truths and you don't do anything about them, your life doesn't go anywhere. You're lost in that point. So it's about the practical aspect of putting that to use. That's what I strive for. I'm not about having great intellectual debates about things, because having a debate about something is useless. Because anytime we argue with anyone, what are we doing? We're trying to convince ourselves. Did you hear that? Anytime you argue with anyone about anything, you're doing it for the purpose of convincing yourself, because if you knew it, if you knew who you were and what you wanted, you would state it into the universe once, and it's done. Why? Because you know it. Do you hear that? I know who I am, and every day I work on that. Why? Because I can forget. You see, we live in a world where we move in and out of awareness. We move in a world where we move in and out of fear. Did you hear that? We move in and out of fear. Everyone does. Why? Because in every moment of every day, we're going to deal with the unknown. Because we must deal with the unknown if we're able to grow. And it's our natural divine impulse to want to be more, to want to express more, to want to be an experience greater than what we are today. It would be boring to do this same talk over and over and over again. So when I finish a talk, it goes into the archives, never to be pulled out again. Why? because the consciousness that gave the talk was that day. It cannot be brought forward into the consciousness of tomorrow because the consciousness of tomorrow changed. So if you're in a relationship with someone, let's say you have kids, you can't bring the events of yesterday into today because the consciousness is different. But if we do, we start having that event of Groundhog Day where we experience it over and over and over again. So the idea is, how do we step into the unknown? How do we do that without fear? So I'm going to use a couple ideas from the computer world. And the first thing we do is we reboot. How do you reboot? What do you do with the system when you reboot it? You shut it down. That's what we do in meditation. We shut our mind down. We tell our mind, shut up, mind. I want to make sure I wasn't pointing at my wife as I did that. We shut it down, and that's the idea of meditation. But our mind sometimes just really beats on us and says, no, I'm not going to shut you down. I'm not going to shut you down. But we have to be persistent. That's why we teach a meditation practice twice a day. You start off in the morning and in the late afternoon. If you're new to it, you start off with 5 minutes and 5 minutes. And then you build to where you have, let's say, an ideal practice in my world teaching people would be 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the late afternoon. If you can't do it by being silent, then we have guided meditations. There are so many different tools and ways that we can use to bring that, but we got to do that. We've got to stop that mind from all that chatter so we don't have all the fears of the unknowns out there. What are the unknowns? Well, God, look what happened to me yesterday. This happened, this happened, this happened. Will I take that into the future? Or I'm dealing with something I've never experienced before. So if we stop and we slow and we get still and we get into that state where there is no physical boundary, no thought going on, we're now in a state of connection. Connection with what? With pure consciousness, with pure love, with pure creator. You see, we are the creator, but it's not until we get still that we can embody that creativity. It's in the stillness that we know. What was it said? Be still and know that I am God. Now, it wasn't be still and know that I am God, someone else. Be still and know I am God as you. So say that with me. Be still and know that I am God. Let's do that again. Be still and know that I am God. See, now we're going into oneness. But what else happens then? We now know what we can do. We now have embraced our power. And what is our power? Anything we desire. We have the ability, through the mental atmosphere that we create, through the practice that we do, to build this energy magnet that attract to us every experience we want. In other words, it's not going to attract to us. It's already there. Quantum physics says it up front. Everything that ever existed is right here, right now. It's everywhere present. And where we put our point of consciousness, where we put our point of focus, becomes that which is drawn into our experience. So the question is, where are you focused? Are you focused in fear? Or are you focused in love? Are you focused on creating a new with an expectancy of new? Are you focused on being in fear and not accepting it? You see, we have to become the vibration of that which we seek in order to have that experience. Until we become the vibration, we can't go anywhere. How many people have gone from one job to another, and the one job we went from was just as crappy as the one we got? Why? We took the same person. Okay, all the singles out there, ever dated the same schmuck more than once? You know you have. Why? You took the same person into the other relationship, expecting the other person to be your joy, and the other person can't be your joy. Your joy must come from within and goes out. And then when it goes out, you bring someone in who has got joy coming from inside, and then you freely come together, you freely express, and you freely get to create a magnificent and joyful life. See, the power, when we get over fear, the power is here. It's in our heart and our mind balanced together. Did you hear that? It's not just heart. If you're a heart, you're going to be floating around. You're going to be a hippie child, and that you're not going to be using the power. You're not going to be directing it. Oh, I just want inner peace. Well, I want you to know something. If you just want inner peace, you wouldn't have come forth into this planet. You came forth into this planet to experience contrast, to experience duality, so that you can create from that experience. You see, the contrast is a vital, necessary part of how do we expand and become a greater aware, have a greater experience. Without contrast, everything stays the same. So we want contrast. We've got to welcome contrast or welcome change, and then we deal with it from where? A sense of power, of knowing our oneness and knowing that we are the power through the mental atmosphere we create. Now, using these tools, I'm going to say this. They're simple, and they take time. Do you get that? Simple, take time. Take time, simple, okay? Picture this way. You have a conscious mind about this big, and you've got an unconscious mind like an iceberg this big. You think everything you think is right here, but all down here is all the stuff that's been buried for all of your life. Everything you've ever heard, everything you've ever spoken, everything is in that subconscious mind. So what we have to do is we do this daily practice to feed the conscious mind, which feeds the subconscious mind, which changes the makeup of the whole mind. As the whole mind changes, the iceberg starts moving in a different direction. And the more we do that, you see, we can't stop doing spiritual practice. Here's the best thing I can share with you. I've worked with a lot of people in healing of cancer. I've worked with a lot of people with disease. I've worked with a lot of people with money issues. I've worked with a lot of people with self-love issues and relationship issues. And here's what happens. People who come to me and ask me for my guidance, and I lay out a program for them. They do the program. If they do the program, they get the result. They get the result, they stop. The result disappears. Why? They stopped. They come back again, say, I want to get this again. Here's the same program. They do the program, they get the result. Sometimes they never start the program. I don't want to do the work, that's what's going on in the unconscious mind. I don't want to do the work. In other words, what we're saying when we don't want to do the work, I am not worthy of having my dream. Because if I believe my dream to be real, I would do whatever it takes to get it. I love John DeMartini when he said, here's one of John DeMartini's best affirmations that I got from him. I am a master of persistence, and I do whatever it takes. Do you hear that? So if you've got a dream, you see, this is my dream. I am a master of persistence, and I will think, I will speak, I will do, I will pray, I will meditate, I will do everything until that dream is manifest. And once that dream is manifest, guess what happens? A new dream pops up. And guess what's going to happen when that new dream pops up? Fear is going to come in again. Because anytime something new comes in, the unknown comes in, we start to fear. What do? We reboot, and then we reprogram. You see, that's what the spiritual practice is. It is the reprogramming of the mind. So we stop the mind by rebooting, and we reprogram it through our daily spiritual practices. Is that not a simple metaphor? Do you get that? You're nodding like this. It's like having kindergartners in class. Who's going to shoot paper wads at me next? I'm just going to challenge you. Holiday seasons are coming up, right? Holiday seasons mean a lot of things to a lot of people. And the holidays bring out more emotion than any other season in the world. I know I was planning our December 21st service, which is the biggest service we do all year. We'll have the main ballrooms, we'll have 250 people plus in there. And Steve and I were talking about the music and how we're switching it up for what we've done in the past. And I'm not going to share with you the one song I've asked to be done, but it's my favorite one. I went that night, and I went on YouTube, and I called it up, and I listened to it. I don't know why that song brings my emotions totally to the surface. And tears just roll down. Because I lose the sense of the small Lee. That song causes me to stop thinking of Lee as this body, as a minister, as a husband, as a father, as a friend. He disappears, and there becomes this feeling of presence of love in the world. That's what the holidays should be. The reminder, the awakening of the divine that exists within us. So you're having that experience today. Our promise at Agape is to bring that experience to you every week and teach you the tools that you can create it in every moment. Because we understand that the power is not in me or Gene or the musicians. The power is you. The person you've been looking for all your life has been looking back at you in the mirror. You are what you want. You are the person you want to have a loving relationship with. You are the person you want to walk into a room and hold hands with. You are the person you want to have a conversation with, because there's no greater conversation than when the divine as you talks to the divine that is everywhere. In that conversation of the individual and the collective divine, there is no fear. In the conversation with you and anything other than divine, fear enters. It is a choice. Who and how do you talk to yourself and others? And only you get to choose. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.